There we go. Okay, now we're YouTube live. Okay, so let's start right out. Grab your pads. We won't use them right off the bat, but set them up. Good, and then you don't have to have a bolster if you're at home, but you do some stretching in the shoulders. I want to remind us to do that, so we're going to put that on the top of the mat. When we get there, you can use blocks if you're at home. All right, and then we're going to start right out with a little bit of strength. Come down to hands and knees. Okay, and keep the fingers really spreading across the mat. Knees about shoulder width apart. Tuck your toes. Press back through the right foot. Try to keep your toes, all 5 toes on the mat, and get your heel to pass the toes. Don't let it slide all the way back to a plank. When you slide your foot back, catch the mat as early as you can. When you straighten the leg, the hip should pop up a little bit, make a little teepee. Good. Now pull your shoulders back. Let's just practice finding the shoulder blade movement. Shrug your right shoulder forward, inner spiral arm a little, then pull it back. Shrug left shoulder forward, inner spiral arm, that means bicep rolls in toward the body, and then back. 2 more. Last one. Okay, that's just to get mobile. Now pull both shoulders back. Try to feel the serratus, the muscles right here along the ribs that pull shoulder blades down away from ears. Keeping that, a lot of pressure in the hands. Push in the hands to pick your ribs up into the back of the body. And then let your ribs drop back down, keeping arms straight. Push into the hands to bring the ribs up. Drop back down. Don't pull with your back. Push down with hands. Really ground hands down into the mat. That opposition of pushing down is what spreads the back of the shoulder blades and brings your ribs up. Drop back down. So serratus push-ups. If you have trouble finding that, you've never done it, drop down and do it from the elbows. One more time. Shoulders back, find serratus. Push down, pick your ribs up. Now keeping that, shoulders back. Press through the right heel. Use the serratus and that little bit of ribs. You should feel like you've got a little corset or something around the rib cage. Press the heel back to the ground until your left knee comes up. It's not a full down dog. It should be a big stretch in the back of that right heel. Keep the shoulder blades back and the back of the neck long. It's kind of like a down dog meets a plank. Now try to drop your ribs into the shoulder blades and then push the ground away, pick them up. Drop the ribs into shoulder blades, push the ground away, pick it up. Drop it down, pick it up. If your head drops back really far, you're not going to find this. You have to keep the back of the neck forward. Drop down into shoulder girdle, push your hands to pick it up. Now take your hips further back. Think of your left knee coming up toward your belly, and then your hips go all the way back, back of the neck in line with arms. Drop that heel into the mat more. Breathe. Pick up the left foot, bring your heel up to the hip. That's it. Now you're going to bring your knee into your ribs, not into your nose, into your ribs, and start pressing in the right toes to come forward. Keep the knee hugged up into ribs and your back dome pushing the floor away. Suck the front ribs up. Good. Then extend the leg back. Keep your ribs up as you lift the leg, then pull it back into the ribs. Then put your right heel back down. Reach your hip all the way back. Bring your foot down into down dog. And down dog is rest. Breathe. As you exhale, try to continue exhaling until you feel your ribs start to close. Pressing down through the hands. And then push into the toes. Come high on the toes. Bring your body forward by dropping your tail a little. Let your hips release, not squeeze. Pressing through the hands as you come forward. Keep the ribs high. Slowly lower the knees back down to the mat. Good. And then sitting back about halfway. Suck the ribs further back. So you're going to really press the ground away, pull your ribs back, drop your head in, and then go ahead and sit all the way back, stretching your side body, ribs touching thighs. Keep your arms off the ground. Palms are down, head can rest. Breathe. There should still be a pull in your hands. To come up, pick up the back of the neck and spine as one piece. Press through feet, pull with your serratus. That's the muscles under the arms. Hands feel like they're dragging the mat back. Okay, side 2. Left toes, press back, hooking into the mat, grabbing the mat, suctioning down, heel passing toes. Your hands should be far enough in front of your shoulders, not back here. That sends you forward. Hands should be out in front of you enough that you have leverage to push your heel back into that calf stretch. You feel that? Keep the fingers really spreading. No bubbles under any knuckles. Shoulders pull back, and while you're here, push down enough for your ribs to come up in the shoulder blades. Shoulder blades slide apart off your back, then drop back down. Knees still on the ground. One more time. Push through hands. Really spread the shoulder blades. And then drop back down. Shoulders away from your ears. Pick ribs up just a little bit. And then reach hips back. Reach that left heel back until the right knee picks up. Keep the back of the neck long. Top of the head forward. Chin sort of tucks up into your throat a little. Breathe. Not head dropping down. Back of the neck long. Drop chest into shoulder blades. Push down through hands to bring the upper ribs up. Drop chest into shoulder blades. Push down through hands. One more. Drop it down. Press through the thumb knuckles and send your hips all the way back. Long. Your knee will come forward toward ribs. Ribs will come back toward hips. Breathe. Now pick up that right foot toward the heel, toward the hip. Pull your knee into your ribs. Try to push into your hands. Pick your ribs up. Come onto the ball of your left foot. Start coming forward. Really push them out of the way with hands, keeping ribs up high in the back of the rib cage, or up high in the shoulder girdle. Good, and then drop the heel back. One more time. Come forward, knee into rib cage. Try to pick your rib cage up with the knees, coming forward, back of the neck long. Push through hands. Now extend your leg back, keep the ribs up. Pull it right back in, ribs higher. Drop the left heel back. Step back to down dog. Good, how you doing? Good. Okay, come back down over the knees. Untuck the toes, sit all the way back with your arms long. When you sit back, I want your hands to stay stuck to the mat. And feel like you're pulling your ribs back out of the shoulder blades. So spread the shoulder blades off the back. And then don't squeeze your glutes. Keep the shoulder blades spread. And keep those upper ribs we've been looking for pulled in. Let's find those. Inhale here. Exhale till you start to feel your ribs close. Exhale through the nose for as long as you can till you start to feel the ribs close together. Keeping that, release your glutes, they weren't helping close your ribs. Then sit back, keeping the ribs closed, keeping hands pulled in the mat. Side body gets pulled long because your shoulder blades slide up ribs. Drop head through the arms. Let your head touch the mat if it can. Breathe. The arms are straight but not stiff. Let your neck go. Elbows kind of feel like they're pulling toward the ground, but you've pulled your muscles so long in the side body and your hands are anchored so far away, even when elbows bend a little, they can't quite touch the floor, but they do release the neck. Good. Now keep your head on the floor. Press through the tops of the ankles. Heels are open, knees pulling the mat apart. Roll forward on your head. All the way to the top of the head. Lift your shoulders up and back, think rabbit. And then let your hips release back. Roll all the way back to your forehead. This time let your elbows touch the mat. Breathe. Do it again. Think of your heels pulling apart. Like a child sits on their feet, toes touch, heels apart. Press into the tops of the ankles as much as your shins to come up. Lifting low belly. Put a roll toward the top of the head. And maybe even toward the back of the head. Lift the shoulders up away from your ears. Keep heels open, knees pulling the mat apart, pick up your ribs. Okay, roll to the right side of the crown of your head. Hips go a little right, right elbow takes some weight, stretching the neck on the right side. Roll across the top of the head to the left corner of the head. Shoulder back. One more time, roll across the head, try to feel every millimeter of the top of the head, crown of the head. Roll across the head, hips go too. Back to the middle. Hips sit all the way back, forehead into the mat. Breathe. Okay. Now while you're here, inhale. As you exhale, keep your elbows stuck to the mat as far forward as you can reach them. And then continue to exhale through the nose until you start to feel your ribs close. Hopefully they're touching the thighs and ribs close toward each other. If you have trouble here and your hips are really high because they're tight, this is a difficult position, grab your ball or your bolster and rest your head on that because your hips are higher. Your head should be the level of your hips. Okay. One more time. Inhale. Big soft breath, but very long. And then exhale for as long as you can. Heels pull out. Ribs start to close softly in. Good. Press through the tops of the feet and pull with hands and elbows to come up and forward. Good. Walk the elbows forward on the mat. Knees are going to be as wide as the mat for this one now. Open the knees. Good. And then drop your chest down into the shoulder blades. Drop the head, really sink in there. Keep your body forward now. Okay, so you're going to come forward until your ribs, the part of the ribs we're trying to engage right here, are over the elbows. That's pretty far forward. Okay? Then you're going to press down through your elbows to pick that part of your ribs up. Let your hips release. They should be soft. There you go. Let the back go. And tip your hips over to the right. Move your ribs to the right. Drop into the right shoulder blade. Let the belly hang into that right hip. Press down through the right shoulder blade and elbow to pick your ribs up on the right side. Come across through center. Transfer weight over to the left. Drop into left shoulder blade, left hip. Let your right hip totally release. Let your right shoulder totally release. Press down through your left elbow to pick it up. Pick up your low belly. Come across through center. Come over to the right. Drop down into right shoulder blade, right hip. This time hang low as you come through center. Stay forward though. Don't back up and go into your neck. Stay forward so shoulders are back as you drop into ribs. Go left. Stay dropped into that left shoulder blade. Keep your weight forward into the elbows. Go back to the right. Drop a little deeper into that right shoulder blade. Good. Feel the difference? Mm-hmm. Back to the left. Keep your weight in the left shoulder blade. Bring your right shoulder blade across. Bring it back up. Go over to the right. Bring your left shoulder blade across. Bring it back up. Now press down through your elbows to bring ribs up. Let your hips release back a little as you lift the belly. Drop the head. Keep pressure in the elbows. Keep your hips loose. They should be able to move side to side. Inhale. Exhale for as long as you can until you feel your upper ribs start to close. Then lean forward. Ribs over elbows. Keep the pressure in the elbows there. Good. Feel those upper abs work? Good. Let's tuck your toes. Bring it back into a kind of a plank. Your hips are higher though. That's it. Now pick your ribs up by pushing the elbows. And then reach the hips up and back. Keep elbows pressing the mat away. Come forward again. Ribs over elbows. Drop the chest down into shoulder blades. Pick it back up. Bend your knees. Come back down. Keep the ribs picked up as you sit back. Pull with your ribs as much as anything else. Elbows and hands stay stuck to the mat. When you can't go any further, release your hips. Let elbows slide a little bit to sit the rest of the way back. Breathe. Sorry. Forgot to turn my phone on silent again. Okay, press through the tops of the feet to come forward. Pull with hands. Okay, we're going to do a little bit with hands and wrists. If this is too much for your wrists, you're not used to stretching wrists, just go with regular hand. Turn your right hand backwards. Left hand is forward. If I were to draw a line across the knuckles nearest the palm, across both hands, that line should be straight and parallel to the top of your mat. Okay, from here, knees are hip width, toes are tucked. Drop your chest down into the shoulder blades, drop the head, feel your shoulder blades slide together behind your ribs. And press the mat away with both hands, right hand too, to spread your shoulders and pick your ribs up. Don't pull with hips. Drop the chest back down into shoulder blades. Push through both hands equally to pick it up. Last one, drop the chest down. Push through both hands equally to pick it up. Good, and then come to neutral. Actually drop all the way down. Keeping dropped, come forward more so your ribs are right over your hands. Let the hips go though, let them fight. Then press down through both arms. Bend your right elbow just a touch, that'll deepen your hand stretch. Pick your ribs up higher by pushing the floor away. Really feel your hands. Soften hips. Let your hips release back away from ribs, keeping ribs up, then drop the ribs back down. Good, now press back through the right foot, toes catching the mat, heel dropping behind the toes, hands far enough forward to push you into that stretch. Good, feel the calf stretch. Keep your shoulders back, lifting up the left knee, dropping the belly back. Push your hands to pick your ribs up, and then drop back down. One more time, push your hands, pick your ribs up. Drop back down, bring it down. That's a lot in the hand. Roll back, bending at the knuckles. And then roll forward. One more time. This time use the knife's edge of your left hand like you're karate chopping the floor. Cover the knuckles and roll the hand down over fingers. Now push into the left hand to pick ribs up a little. Roll back through your right hand. Elbow pulling back. Feel how that changes the hand stretch. And then roll back down. Good. You can even try to straighten your thumb out. That'll change the stretch too. One more time, covering knuckles. Roll back back through the hand. Keep pressuring that left hand. And then roll forward. Now bring the hand back so you're covering the second set of knuckles and the fingers. Better roll your hand further back. Notice if your hips are squeezing and your back muscles are pulling up to take weight out of this hand, this weight-bearing hand stretch, let that go. Sit back in hips if you need to. Roll back through the hand. Take your left hand out of there. When you roll back to your right hand, try to keep weight down into the knuckles and get the same weight-bearing feeling as you roll back and come all the way out of it. Come to knuckles. Good, how are we doing? Come into the mat. Good, other hand, come to knuckles. Don't put your fingers inside and break your top knuckle off. Keep your fingers flat. Thumb into the mat. Okay? From here, inner spiral the arms so biceps face in, and then outer spiral. Now press down through the knuckles as much as you press through the thumbs to bring the ribs up. Okay, press back through the left foot, heel catching the mat, hips and ribs behind your hands. Press back through knuckles to come up. Really push down through knuckles to pick your ribs up higher. Make sure you're forward enough to feel that. Drop back down your shoulder blades. One more. Push through knuckles. Get up there. Drop back down. Put the knee down. Bring it back in. Flatten out both hands. Good. Left hand, turn your hand backwards. Right hand is forward. If I drew a line across the knuckles, they'd be on the same line. Good. Knees can come a little further back. Try to bend your left elbow. If you can't bend it, your hand's too far away from you. This angle is too acute. The stretch is too big. Okay, so bring it closer to you. All right, from there, keep a little softness in your left elbow. Right elbow can be straight. Drop your chest down into shoulder blades. Shoulder blades should come together. Belly's hanging. I'm not flexing the back. I'm just hanging into my shoulder blade. Push through hands to bring your ribs up. Let your hips sort of drop away. Don't squeeze the butt. Lift your belly. Press even more with your hands to pick your ribs up. To come back down, drop the head into the shoulder blades. Drop your ribs. And let the belly fully hang, hips totally release. But don't squeeze in the front of the hip right now. I don't want you to pull a piece of paper there. Keep that a little open. One more time. Press the mat away with both hands. Even that stretching hand, it doesn't want to weight there. Make you do it anyway. Then, soften your back. Let your hips release. Suck the belly up a little. Breathe. Drop your chest into the shoulder blades. Head hanging as you come down. Really feel the shoulder blades slide onto the back. Belly hang. Good. Now press back through the left foot, catching the mat with the toes. Or I should say the metatarsal is the ball of the foot. Hands are far enough forward that you can press back. Pull with your core to come back. Press your hands to pick your ribs up. And then drop back down into shoulder girdle. Do it again. Press your hands, pick your ribs up. Drop back down. Last one. Press your hands. Drop back down, put the knee down. Good. Pull the leg back in. Roll back through that hand. Keep knuckles pinned to the mat. Notice if your core is engaged, that's fine, but it can't be back and hips. Let the hips go. Roll back down. I'll try it with an anchor. Your right hand's going to karate chop right on the knuckles and then folds down to the fingers. That's where you're anchoring, on the knuckles. Push into the right arm to straighten it. That's a tricep engagement. Shoulder blades back. Let hips release and ribs release. Heel your left hand back off the mat. And then roll it forward. You do a lot of handstand inversions, down dog, you need this. Roll back through the hand, or if you're getting arthritis or you just never stretched your hands, you need this. Good. Try to straighten that thumb out. To straighten your thumb out, you're literally going to push into the knuckle and push the tip of the thumb away. You're straightening it out. You will feel that run up the arm. Okay. Now, roll back, or take the hand off. Try to do the same rolling back, keeping weight into knuckles, keeping the hips released, and roll back a little further. Roll back forward. This time, cover the knuckles and the fingers, the second set of knuckles. Roll back a little further off the mat. Feel the stretch come into the fingers and the hands. Roll back forward. Good. Take the hand away, same rolling back without the pressure. Roll all the way out of it, come to knuckles. Good. Slide that right foot back, heel behind the toes. Fists are going to press. Pick your ribs up into the shoulder blades. Pick up that left knee off the mat. Take your heel back a little bit. Breathe. Keep thumbs pressing. Drop the chest into shoulder blades. Push through the hands. Pick it up. Knuckles are firm. Wrists are straight. Drop down. If anything, you're in the first two knuckles more than the last two. Pick it up. Last one, drop down. Really pick it up. And then come back to the mat. Flatten out your hands.
I know. Good. Feel this.
Yes.
Upper arms a good bit. Yeah.
All right. So go ahead and open knees. Go ahead and open as wide as you can, toes toward each other. And then see if you can sit back just inside your heels. Your heels roll back for your hips to be able to sit there. Yeah. Keep your knees wide. If you can't sit there, you can put a block there. But everybody should be able to sit. Your hips may not touch the ground, but you should be able to sit down into your own stretch. So you may be elevated a little bit, and this is kind of what's holding you up. And we're giving upper body a break here. Put your hands right into the arc where your leg meets your hip. Find the hip flexors, the other muscles that are in there, and feel like you're pulling them away from the pelvic bowl and putting some downward pressure in them. At the same time, roll elbows forward to open the shoulder blades off the back a little bit, and feel how that helps open your ribs a little. Now think of slouching, sitting bones under, let your lumbar spine release. Okay, lift pelvic floor, think of a mula bandha, or lifting the perineum up. And as you roll your hips forward, keep the low belly lifted. Your pelvic bowl comes forward, but don't let those muscles you're holding flex. Now when you go back, push those muscles away, suck the belly back, and let those muscles release so you can sit a little deeper. Feel that? Try it again. Lift your low belly a little without hardening chest or pulling with your back. Don't let that happen. Just stay down here. When you roll forward, stay low with ribs. Don't pull with back. Keep these muscles loose. Let the hips release. And then roll sitting bones under. Soften hips, low back, and glutes. Good. Okay, come forward with elbows to the mat. If you can't reach the mat, you can grab your bolster. Keep elbows pressing your hips back into your feet. So you're still a little rounded right now. Keeping that constant pressure from your elbows where your shoulder blades spread off the back. Let your head drop and hang. It shouldn't collapse into the shoulder girdle because you're still keeping pressure there. Just head hanging. Okay, lift your low belly and breathe. Now keeping the pressure in your left elbow, bring your right shoulder across toward the left side. Push through the top of the right foot a little bit to pick that right sitting bone up higher. And then come back to the middle. Keep pressure in your right elbow, bring your left shoulder across, push through the top of the left foot. Find any amount of movement in that left hip. Bring it back to the middle. Now both shoulders come forward. It feels like they're coming up and over the elbows and the upper arms. Pulling you out of the back of the body. Drop the head, breathe. And then press your elbows to sit back again. Do that again. Shoulders come forward. Try to pull your ribs forward more out of the hips, flapping. And then push back. It's not super hard. Okay, now keeping your hips back, widen your elbows like you're going to make a big circle with the arms. Keep the elbows pushing out and forward, keeping the serratus, the shoulder blades spread off the back, and your hips pinned back a little bit and your low belly up. Good. Breathe. Now from here, I want you to pull back towards you with elbows to pull your ribs forward. Hips may lift a little bit as your back flat. Feel the stretch in the groin deepen? Good. Go the other way. Push the elbows apart. Shin feels like it's pushing your sternum back for you. All the slack that gathers into the spine comes right into lumbar spine and low belly lifts. Go the other way. Pull with elbows to drag your ribs forward. Now keep dragging until hips lift a little bit. Try to spread these wider. Walk your elbows as far forward on the mat as you can reach. Maybe your chest or ribs can even touch down if you're real open in the hips. If not, don't worry about it. Come forward staying low. You don't have to be touching the ground, but your belly has to hang below the hips. Elbows are wide and out in front of you on purpose, trying to keep space in your chest, trying to drop the belly deeper. Breathe. Feel the groin stretch? Okay? If your chin can touch down or your forehead can touch down, you can let it for now. Breathe. Okay, press through the hands to bring the back of the neck up. Not the back of the head, punching the neck. The whole back of the neck, back of the ribs. Keep pressure in your left elbow. Bring your right shoulder as far across as you can to the left side. Feel that help you open out of that right hip a little more, especially the front of the hip. And bring it back. Keep pressure in the right elbow. Bring your left shoulder across as far as you can. You can even let the head rest on that right forearm. Bring it back. Keep pressuring your left elbow. As you push yourself back though, keep the belly in the floor. If you have to pick your hips up and round your tail under, that's not it. So keep pressuring left elbow. Bring that right shoulder blade across, forehead onto the hand. Breathe. Bring it back up. One more. Bring the left shoulder across to the right. Let your forehead rest so maybe you can release better. Bring it back up.
Now turn your feet out to the sides, full frog.
Good. Keep your belly low. Mine happens to be touching the floor. Yours doesn't have to. Press yourself back into the stretch. Wherever your belly is, keep it that low. Don't let it pick up. Keep it on the ground, and you press back, keeping the belly low. That's going to deepen the groin stretch. Keep that outward pressure with elbows as you press back. Now roll your right shoulder back, like it's pushing your rib cage down and scooping it down and forward out of the hip. And then bring it forward. Roll your left shoulder blade back. Bring it forward. Roll them both back. Breathe. Last one here. Pull the, and what I just did was adjust my ribs. If your belly is on the ground, you can pull ribs forward out of the front of the pelvis more. Okay, pull your right heel into the right glute. Try to spread and flex your toes as much as you can. Then actually try to squeeze your right glute. And then let that go. Pull your left heel into your left glute. Try to actually squeeze your left glute. Your head can rest. And then let it go. Good. Pull them both in. Try to squeeze both glutes, dumping the belly to the floor. Push belly out into the floor. Inhaling. Exhale, lift pelvic floor up. Let the feet go. Let your hips release more. Good. Press with elbows to see if you can sit a little deeper into your stretch. Inhaling, lift the perineum, lift Mula Bandha, activate your feet. Exhaling, think of pushing your belly out. If you're trying to make a pregnant belly, pushing the transverse abdominal out. Then let that go. Good, bring elbows back in. Bring your feet all the way in, toes try to kiss. And then see if you can walk back, slowly, elbows coming under you, back to that initial position we were sitting in. See if you can sit any deeper there. Heels are away from you enough that your hips fit inside the heels. Good. And close knees a little. How you doing? Good. Feel a lot in the hips and groin? Same thing we did before. Let's turn so the elbows are out, fingers face in, hands come here. Push those muscles away and then think of slouching in your lumbar spine. Inhaling. You hopefully can feel this massive muscle here opening a little more, and then roll it back up. Sitting bones into the mat. Do it again, roll it under. Good. And roll it back up. Good, how you doing? Good. Hands forward, walk forward out of it. Good. And then press into the tops of the feet, see if you can pick up your knees. Really pick up ribs to do this, pushing in the hand. See if you can come all the way up and roll over the toes. Good job. All right, spread out your fingers, find your down dog. Sitting bones reach back. Keep your ribs in the body just a little bit. That means come forward. Push into hands to pick ribs up a little. Then reach sitting bones back and keep your ribs engaged as your hips reach back. Feel what I mean by that? Okay. Now see if you can pick your left leg straight up and back, but keep your ribs up in the back body a little. Good. Roll the hip open, ribs open too. Ribs open too. There you go. So right shoulder blade down, and then roll it back down. Bring the knee into the ribs, not to the nose. Pick up the back of the neck, come forward in your plank, picking your ribs up, picking the knee up into the ribs. Then right heel back. Now keep your ribs that high. Keep pressure in your hands and take that leg back, keeping ribs up. You won't go to down dog. Good. Now roll the hips and ribs open. Think side plank more than down dog. Roll it back in. Bring your knee in, picking ribs up. Come forward, high on the ball of the right foot. Try to get ribs almost past hands. Bring it back. Keep ribs up, take leg up. Roll it open. Unroll back down. Down dog. Put the fixes to the mat. Drop the hips back. Think of your sitting bones reaching up. I don't care if legs are straight if it does this to you. Okay, bend your knees and reach the hips away from hands by reaching sitting bones back. I don't care how bent the knees have to be. Then once you can get that shape from the hips to the hands, Then you can start re-straightening legs. Good, what do we got, right leg?
Yes.
Bring the right leg straight back and up. Good. Bend the knee into your ribs, pick the ribs up, come forward to your plank, push the ground away to get those ribs up. Keeping that, drop your left heel back, bring your right leg straight back, keep the ribs up. It's not going to be a down dog, it's more like a plank. Roll the whole thing open to the right, roll the whole thing back down. Do it again. Pull the right knee into your ribs, push into the left ball of the foot, push in the hands to pick ribs up, neck is long. Heel coming down, ribs stay up because you're pressing your hands, bring the leg back. Roll it open, ribs and hip, and then bring it back down to the mat. Come down to knees.
How are we doing? Good. Good. Working. Yeah. Lots of strength. Let's stretch the neck and shoulders. Elbows to your
Bolster. Okay, and we're still going to use these upper ribs and the upper abdominals that we've been trying to find. Hands are going to be in prayer. I want you to think of matching up each of the knuckles, especially the ones, the 4 here on the top of the hand and then the 2 here in the thumb. Really match those up, and then also the other knuckles, but especially those. Elbows are going to be a little forward of the edge of the bolster and then come forward until the ribs that we're trying to work are over your elbows. Okay? Your knees should be back far enough that you're very obtuse through here. This is not kinked. You're forward. Okay? Now let your hips go. They shouldn't be tight. Press down through the elbows to pick those ribs up into your back body. Let your glutes go. Keep them loose. Drop the head. It shouldn't drop through the arms. It's still forward. And then drop the ribs back down. Let hips release. Do it again. Push your elbows to bring the upper back open. And then drop back down. Last one, push through elbows. Tuck your toes. Straighten the right leg back, like a forearm plank. Keep the ribs higher than the hips. Good. And then drop ribs back down. Keep the hips loose. Push your elbows to bring ribs up. Good. And then switch. Right knee down, left leg up. Stay long through your left heel. I want you to feel, even though the ribs are up, you're long all the way through the front of that left hip. You feel that? Mm-hmm. Drop down in the ribs. Pick it back up. Keep the length in your left hip. See if you can bring them both up, keeping long. Don't tuck the front of the hips forward to hold yourself up. Push through elbows. Good. Now reach the hips back. Come forward, ribs staying up into the back body. Bend the knees, bring it down. Good. Now press your elbows to keep ribs up. Try to bring your head back. Squeeze it through the arms. Arms should be close enough together that your head grazes the biceps as it comes through the arms, or maybe even closer together and you have to squeeze it through. Try to bring your head to the floor, or if you can't to the floor, at least to the edge of the bolster, so that your head is behind the elbows. Okay? Looks like we're on the floor. From here, elbows slide a little forward on bolster, and then bend your hands, or bend your elbows, bend your hands. Bend your elbows and bring your hands up to your thoracic spine. You should feel a pretty decent stretch in the triceps and the shoulders and the side body. If you feel pain in the top of the shoulder and the upper arm, that's wrong. You're doing damage. That's not the way this should feel. Okay? In order to get rid of that pain, you can widen elbows a little bit, not much, but mostly that pain is because you're inner spiraling the arm instead of outer spiraling where the shoulder blade can come off the side of the ribs. You're keeping shoulder blade locked instead of letting it come off. Okay, so let's come forward for a minute and try to find shoulder blade coming off the ribs. Keep the hands together. Bring the ribs back out of the shoulder blade. Keep that ribs out of shoulder blades feeling when you go to sit back. Your knees feel like they're pulling the mat forward. Ribs are still engaged so they can pull up out of the shoulder girdle. Then drop the head back. That should get you in the right feeling, the right stretch in the side body and the shoulders. Then bend the elbows up. Feel like you got a little more space there? Mm-hmm. Good. Then let your hips drop back. Your hips should feel like they're stooping toward the ground out of the shoulder blades, down and back. But don't squeeze the front of the hips. Let that release. If your ribs are touching your thighs, the knees need to walk back a little further. If you feel stuck in the front of your hips, you can open knees a little wider. Breathe. Okay, pressing through your feet, rounding the spine to come forward. You're going to pin the head up against the back of the bolster. Put a little pressure from knees and feet into that neck stretch. Keep hands into your thoracic spine. Breathe. Exhale. Exhale, pushing down a little on your elbows until you feel those uppermost ribs close. Keep exhaling through the nose, calm and long. Okay, now tip your hips over to the right, knees wider if they aren't already. Reach your right elbow further forward. Sit your right hip back a little bit further, opening up the right ribs. Feel the right serratus and rib cage open. Bring it back up, pressing into the bolster, pressing into the head. Take hips and ribs a little left. Sit your left hip back. Really try to reach the left elbow forward. And then come back to the middle. Good. Keep your hands up. Keep pressure through elbows. Keep head pushed into the bolster, but release your hips. Drop the hands forward all the way down. And then bring the hands back up. Good. Now drop your hips all the way back, stretching and pulling hips away from elbows. Side body getting long, shoulders stretching, chest opening, breathe. Two more. Okay, this time you're going to press through the knees and the feet. Press through your elbows, rounding the body up. It's like you always spread shoulder blades off the back. Hold that. Inhale, let the hips go. They should be further back away. They're not crushing forward. As you exhale, keep your upper ribs closed. Try to keep pressure in your elbows. Drop the hands down. That's actually pretty hard to do. Keep pressure in your elbows. Pick the hands back up. Now drop your head to the mat through the arms. Then let your hips release back further than they started. Breathe. While you're back here, drop your arms forward. Good. Feel the stretch in the chest and shoulders and neck. Inhale. Exhale, pull your heels apart a little bit. Pull knees apart on the mat a little bit. They won't actually move. And then keep exhaling through your nose so you feel your ribs close. Just a touch. And then let that go. One more. Inhale. Exhale. Press down through your hands a little. Feel your ribs close a little bit. And then let that go. Good. Untuck your toes. Slide back. Pull your head back on the mat until you're in child's pose. Let your arms come to the ground. Breathe. Again, if you can't let your hips sit back far enough that this is comfortable, your hips are elevated, pull your bolster back and put that under your forehead or put your ball there or whatever, so hips and head are the same height. Okay, now bring your arms back one at a time. Palms face the ceiling. Tuck your chin in a little closer to you. Really sticking the forehead or the hairline to the mat so your neck stays longer and let shoulders straight. Breathe. You will feel a decent amount of pressure in your head. Okay, a little headstand press. You're going to try to control the weight of the body with the head. Press into the ankles, picking your hips up, roll to the top of your head. Pick shoulders up, find your serratus, pick your hands up. Good. Now keep the shoulder blades up, untuck your hips, heels out, ankles into the mat, and then slowly roll back, controlling the weight in the head. Good. Bring your hands next to your shoulders. Do the same thing, rolling to the top of the head. Good. Turn so your fingers face in and your elbows come forward. Try to bring your hands up closer to your face. Good. Elbows out, fingers in. Good. Roll to the right crown of your head. Good. And then roll all the way to the left crown of your head. Try to roll your right shoulder forward, more elbow forward. Trying to open the ribs. Roll to the left side, right side, excuse me. Come back to the center. I like little push-ups. Press through your hands to pick up your chest, head, neck. Feel your chest engage a lot. Okay, don't turn your fingers in as far. Turn a little forward. Do that again. Bend your elbows out to the sides. Chest should be very engaged. Hands feel like they're pulling toward each other. Maybe you can put chin on the mat or nose and not put forehead. Press through your hands to come up. You should feel a lot of chest. Once the arms are fully straight, you should feel a little stretch in your wrist. Push the mat away to pick your ribs up. How far forward can you come past your hands, still pushing the ribs up? Let your hips release away. Let your chest drop all the way back down. Bend elbows out to the sides.
chin or forehead to the mat. One more time. Press your hands, pulling hands toward each other, picking it up. You should feel your pecs engaged. Once the arms are straight, pitch forward a little, hips release. Push through the thumb knuckles especially, picking your ribs up. Yeah, let your back open more. Good, and then drop that. Good. Turn the hands backwards. Tuck the toes, knees touching. Walk your knees back further, keeping the toes touched, trying to get more and more of that foot into the mat. And then sit back towards your feet. Keep your shoulder blades reaching forward. In this shape, your shoulder blades actually want to reach forward because your hands don't like to stretch. If it's too big a stretch, you can bring the hands back closer to you to lessen it. But try to go to your furthest point so that your body's actually, by protecting against the stretch, it's actually helping you for once. By pulling the shoulder blades forward, chin in, suck the belly back. Roll back through the right hand. Roll it back forward. Release your hips, let them sit down into the hip stretch, and your heels roll back through the left hand. Roll forward. Roll all the way to the right hand, come to knuckles. All the way to the left hand, come to knuckles. Good, press into the knuckles, bring your knees up and back, heels dropping. How are we doing? Good. Tense your fingers. We've done this in class a few times. Try to keep your knuckles on the mat and bring your wrists forward. Elbows push the wrists forward. Good. Thumbs back. It's not really a tent, it's a tent in your wrist. Okay, toes grabbing the mat. Press through the ball of the feet to pick your butt up off the legs. Keeping that space you just made, hips go way back as they come down. Try to think of your hips going behind your heels. Just should have made a little more space in the back of the leg. Now grab the mat with the ball of the foot and the toes. Lift your heels up, hips still dropping onto heels. Knees aim up to the ceiling. Ankles trying to go forward, really stretching the feet, working the feet. And then drop heels back, you'll push hips back, shoulders come forward as knees come forward. Inner feet are still trying to touch. Breathe, drop your head. Do it again, grab the mat with the ball of the foot and the toes. Press through the ball of the foot, bringing heels forward. Hips stay heavy on the heels, but working feet. Really push ankles forward, try to keep those wrists forward. Elbows hugging on the knees a little, suck your belly back. Trying to pull the ribs back. Good. And then slowly drop the heels back. Feel the feet. One more time. Grab the mat with the toes first. Really engage the feet. Now keeping the feet engaged, and then release your hips. Reach the hips back a little, away from heels, keeping toes. Then pull the heels up. Hips stay released. They go along for the ride. Feel the difference there? Now go ahead and make a true tent in the fingers. Maybe you can come up to one or two. Don't pull with your back. That's a good way to lose your balance. Suck up with your core. Open elbows a little and pull your core up inside the ribs. Then keeping that, see if you can find your balance. Knees will hug in a little, but more than squeezing close, it's almost like the groin is spiraling in so the belly can suck away from it. Toes are still grabbing the mat. Find your balance. Breathe. Okay. See if you can keep inner feet touching. Drive down through the index knuckle and lift a little bit. Hips off the heels. Find your breath. Lift your belly. Reach the arms straight out in front. Spread shoulder blades forward and come all the way down. Good. Gives you a little space. Nice. Okay, lift the hips up. Keeping the heels high. Drop your head. Okay. If this is too much, grab your blocks to help you. If not, stay here, shoulders back. Slowly lower the right heel, just very slowly, lowering the right hip. Keep your left foot really engaged and your left hip up. So you're staggering in the hips to lower the heel doesn't have to touch the ground. Bring it back up. So it's not a bending and straightening. Lower your left hip, really working through right foot, right low belly to keep your right hip higher up. And bring it back up. So that's staggering in the hips. Lower right heel, right hip. Keep your left foot working. You keep the left hip up. Bring it back up. One more each side. Bring it back up. Bring it up. Bend your knees forward, both of them. Ankles come forward, stretching the feet. Nope, stay in the air. Ankles forward. That's it. Now lower just your left heel. Really reach that right ankle forward, pushing the back of the foot forward. Switch left arch forward, right heel down. Good, and then roll both feet down. Drop your head, drop your chest, all the way to the
Good. Because your hands and feet should feel very awake. Heel toe feet apart. Let's go. Let's go to maybe a leg's length and maybe a little bit more. And then tent your fingers. Again, if you need your blocks here, get them. You'd rather feel like you can move through hips than just be stuck and not feel any of this. Okay, bring your ribs and hips over to the right. Your legs stay straight. Your left hip rolls forward a little to take your right. Okay, then bring it back to center. Bring your ribs and hips left. Your right hip will roll a little forward. Bring it back to center. If you can't feel the rolling in the hips, narrow the feet. Try it from there. Only go as wide as you can without losing movement. Okay? Alright, let's turn so the fingers face in. Drop the chest into your shoulder blades. Keep your heels reaching out past your toes and reach your pubic bone back a little bit, really dropping the ribs. Good. Bring your right arm under the left arm. Bend your left elbow so it comes over the wrist. Reach the hand across for your left ankle. Right hand to left ankle. If your head can touch the ground because you're wide enough, tuck your chin in and look up under your left arm. Okay? You're going to pull into a bend with your right elbow. And really try to twist the body. Breathe. The twist doesn't come from the back. It comes from the shoulder blades migrating. So that left shoulder blade coming up, left elbow coming above the wrist, and your right elbow bending to pull the right shoulder blade underneath. Feel that?
Big stretch in the right shoulder.
Yep. Breathe. Okay, bring it back to center. Second side, fingers face in like a little bulldog. Let's push into the hands in the meantime to pick your hips up. Let your hips release, they should be mobile. Drop the chest back down. Good. And then reach your left hand underneath. Bend your right elbow forward. That should start pulling your shoulder blade up the side of the rib cage. Okay. And keep that twist going. If your head can touch the ground, tuck your chin in. Bend your left elbow, trying to pull that left shoulder blade across underneath the ribs. Right shoulder blade up behind the ribs. Breathe. Heels are wide. Put a little weight into that right hand. Find your breath. Then bring it back up. Good. Walk your hands way out front. Spread the fingers. Drop your chest down into the shoulder blades. This should sort of be a really wide leg down dog meets a plank. So your whole body comes forward, heels are still down though, and then sink the chest into shoulder blades. Just unlock the knees. Don't bend them a lot. Just unlock them a little. Toes grabbing the mat. Now, when you sit back, keep the belly and ribs dropping, just like we did earlier in your frog. Keep your belly low as you sit back. Feel that groin stretch? Good. Now try to drop your elbows to the ground. Perfect. Good. Drop the ribs into the shoulder blades. Keep the belly low. This is a good cut for your forearm stand. Good. Press back into the hands. Triceps will work here. Just straighten your arms. Do it again. Bend the elbows to the floor. Drop chest deeper into the shoulder blades. You can drop the head too. Good. Bring the back of the neck up. Press into the hands to straighten the arms. Good. Suck the belly up. Push into your hands around. Good. And then shift forward. Come onto the toes. Good. Keep the ribs as high as you can get them. Drop your head. Breathe. Good. And then roll down through your heels. Heels really wide. Drop the ribs into the shoulder blades. Drop your belly more. Bend the knees a little as you take the hips further back. Feel that stretch in the hips? Breathe. Try to bend the knees a little deeper. Keep the ribs dropping in there. Bend your elbows to touch the mat. Drop in the shoulder blades more. Re-straighten your arm. Good. Last one. Bend the elbows to touch down. Shift your weight forward. Come high onto the toes. Good. Drop your head through the arms. Push the mat away so your head fits. There you go. And then drop the heels back down as you bring the back of the neck forward. Good. Walk your feet in. Regular dolphin. Good. Keep the elbows out in front as far as you need them to be. Stay on the ball of the left foot. Bring your right leg up. Good. Try to dip your ribs back. Elbows sliding the mat forward. Shoulder blades are mobile, dropping the chest back. Good. Then try to bring your ribs forward, past the elbows.
come forward, a lot of strength, drop into the shoulder blade, push down to pick your ribs up, take it back again. One more time, come forward, drop into the shoulder blades, you done?
That's just have to.
So you're basically doing serratus push-ups and then half more arms balance, right? So come forward, so your shoulders are over the elbows, drop into the shoulder blades, push back down to pick it up, then drop back deeper. Good, and bring it back down.
Somehow I'm getting my quad into that, you know?
Let me see it on the second side.
Okay.
Push back up.
When we come forward.
Bring your left leg up. Good. Now drop your chest back, pressing through elbows. Okay. Now bring your body forward so the chest comes over. Now drop your chest into it. Pushing the elbows to come up. Chest back further. One more time. Come forward. Drop your chest into it. Push through elbows to bring it up. Chest back further. All right. Bring it back down. Where do you feel the quad coming into it? When you come forward.
Especially coming forward, yeah.
Yeah. All right, so you're going to try it again. Okay. When you do come forward, I want you to bend your knee.
Okay.
Okay. Unlocking the leg, because remember muscles pull, so the quad's function is to straighten the leg. Right? Okay. So here we go. Press back. Stay on the ball of the feet for this. It gives you a little more room because your hamstrings aren't at their fullest stretch. Pick your leg up. Okay, now bring your back forward like you're coming into a push-up position. It gets heavy. Now bend your right knee a little. Good. Now drop chest into shoulder blade. Push the floor away to come up. Good. Drop it back. Bend. Feel the difference? Good. And come on down.
Yeah.
Better?
It helps take it out a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot more movement through the serratus. It's still a very strength-oriented movement, right?
Yeah.
Eventually you're in your full forearm stand looking for that serratus movement, right?
Okay.
So, a lot of prep for that. If you can do it there, you're going to be up in your inversion shortly. Yeah? Okay. If you feel a lot in your neck, like you're craning the back of the head up, you are. Don't try to crunch the back of the neck. Think of the back of the neck as being long, one flat piece, instead of that.
Okay.
Right? See the difference? All right, good job. Let's go ahead and lay down for a while. These hands to empty. Grab your ball. And let's not use the holster for now. I gotta face the box so I know where I'm at. Alright, so grab your little purple ball. This is your 9-inch diameter ball. So we've done a lot of hip and groin, hamstrings, calves, and we've done shoulders. So we're good. Let's get to some core here. Alright, so gonna put the ball behind the back. Roll it back so it's behind your shoulder blades. Go further back. Oh, maybe good actually, or diagonal from me. Okay? And then tail under. Alright, so you want, a little further forward, you want the ribs where we've been working up in here, that part of the back should be a little bit off the ball. Hands behind your head. Push the head forward just a little bit, and then drop your knees so they rest on each other. They should rest, like if one weren't there, the other would drop past it. You shouldn't have to be squeezing them together. If you have to squeeze, bring your feet closer. If it's too easy, bring your feet further. Okay, heels should be wider than toes. Okay, and then put a little bit of pressure into the feet. Lay back over your ball. Keep the low belly sucked back. That's what that pressure is doing. Lay back over the ball. Let your rib cage open a little bit. Feel that stretching upper back?
Yeah.
You feel good?
Yes.
Breathe. Bring your head back up. Try to use the serratus, the muscles under here, pulling your shoulder blades down into the ball to pull the head up. Once you're forward, let your hips release and your pubic bone feels like it's going forward through the legs. Okay? Now push a little bit with feet to drop the pelvic bowl down. Close your ribs in. Reach your elbows up and forward. Good. Feel the upper abs pulling? Push your feet to pick up your hips. Roll a little further forward and come down. There we go. Right there. Hold. Keep elbows reaching up. Good. Now drop your hips forward like you're rolling forward on your tailbone, but don't let your ribs pop open. Feel how that? Feel how you have to keep that? Good. Bring your feet further forward. Good. Little bit of pressure in the feet. Roll as you got. Then reach elbows up to drop the back of the ribs heavier into your ball. Good. Lay back over your ball from here. Let your ribs open up. Good. Push with feet to roll the tailbone under and the low back to the mat. Let that pressure go, hips go forward. Do it again, little pressure in feet. Let hips go forward. Good, feel that in the low back, in a good way.
Yeah.
Little pressure in feet, lumbar spine gets a lot of space. Don't squeeze your butt, no glute squeeze. Let that go. Use your serratus, pulling shoulders down to bring the head up. Keep your hips forward, don't squeeze the glutes at all. Drop your chin into your own sternum. Let those upper abs drop in, reach your elbows forward without tucking your tail. Good. Feel that length you're keeping in the lumbar spine? Very good. Now press the feet a little bit, keep ribs dropping into the mat. Try to really suck those upper ribs down. Good. Keep that as you lay back this time. Don't lose your upper ribs, don't let them pop open. Then release your hips forward, try not to lose your upper ribs. Then let the upper ribs open, lay all the way over your ball. Good, bring just your head up first, then start letting ribs drop in. Good, feel where we're working up here? Good job. Okay, now keep the upper ribs pulled in. Drop the right knee forward, watch these hold. First, keeping upper ribs pulled in, try to roll your ball to the right. Like a typewriter, roll the whole ball to the right. And then back to the center. Use those upper abs, roll your ball to the left. Good, and then back to the center. Hips have to allow you to move, but they're not controlling. Back to the center. Good, now you're controlling rib cage from here. Okay, now keep the upper abs pulled down. Drop the right knee past the left, but keep your upper abs, so you're not going to let the hip go too far. And then bring it back up. Switch, keep those upper abs pulled down, elbows reaching up, drop the knee down. Sorry again. Bring it back up. One more on each side. Keep the ribs pulled down. Elbows reaching forward. Help slide shoulder blades open, engaging serratus. Keep a little pressure in that left foot. Left knee stays in. Bring it back. Drop the left knee across. Keep elbows reaching up. Ribs dropping into your ball. Control the ball with ribs. Bring it back up. Okay, now this time go across to the right. Let the ribs open a little so that hip can drop further forward. Good. Feel that stretching the hip more now. Open and spread the right toes. Keep the right index knuckle on the mat. Try to pull your heel back an inch or two toward the right. Yeah. Feel that stretching the hip deeply. Good. Roll it back up, pushing into the left. Switch. Take your ribs a little to the left. Drop the left knee across. Let the ribs open a little. Don't crunch your low back. Spread your left toes out. Bring your left heel a touch further left. Good. Release your left glute. You may even feel like you're rolling forward on the ball. Feel that stretching the hip and low belly. Good. Lay back over your ball. Let the ribs open more. Keep the right knee in, low belly down. Bring it back up. Switch. Let that right knee drop across. Ribs go a little right. Your right hip should feel like it's coming towards your right heel. Left knee staying in, pushes it that way. That'll start opening on the inside of pelvic bowl on the base of the buttocks. Yeah?
Yeah.
Switch. Left knee drops across, but a lot of people squeeze the glute and the rotators that attach femur across the tailbone. Those need space. To do that, roll your ribs a touch to the left. Right knee pushes across a little, and your right foot pushes a little to drop that left hip toward the left heel. Feel how that opens right inside pelvic bowl and at the base of the buttocks. Good. And then roll up, come back to the hip. Good. Hop your hips forward again. Tailbone under. Head on the ball. Arms reach back. Okay. You should be back far enough on your ball that the chin is up a little bit. Neck is still touching the ball. It's just arcing over it. And your shoulder blades are on the ball supported. Okay. Then bring your arms out to the side. Let them rest into that stretch. Breathe. Breath here. Exhale one. Good. Bring the arms back to where they were. Let them rest into that stretch. Now that opens your ribs. Knees drop in. Let them rest against each other and suck the low belly back a little with a little pressure in your feet to roll the pelvic bowl toward the ground, keeping ribs open though. Don't crush your ribs into the wall, that doesn't work. let that go with the feet and hips, arms open. Bring your hands back to your head. Pull the head up with hands and serratus. My hair is stuck under my ball. Ouch. Good. Alright, you feel that a little bit? Good. Okay. I don't have enough mat behind me. You could just roll all the way back till your upper back comes to the floor, but I'm going to end up on wood, so I'm going to sit up, scoot forward, put the ball right up against my low back, and lay back until your upper back is on the mat. Ball should be low enough that it's pretty much right where your tailbone is. Not all the way where the buttocks ends. You should have a little bit of the fleshy part of the buttocks hanging off the front of the ball. Pretty much right where your tailbone ends. Bring the knees in. Actually, we'll stay here for a minute. Bring your legs like they're right on your center line. Your left foot's right in the middle. Your right foot is cupping your left knee, and the knees are right on center line. Now let your hips release. Maybe you can walk your ribs a touch further back. I can tell I was too far forward on my ball. Okay? And then see if you can pull your ribs down and reach your arms up and find balance there. Breathe. Keep hips loose. Let them rest into the ball. Bring your arms back. Keep your ribs pulled down. If you try to tighten your hips, you'll fall off the ball. And pull the arms back up. Drop your ribs in deeper. Good. Press the right foot into the left. Suck the belly back. Pull your ribs into the ground. Reach the arms up. Feel the upper abs there? Mm-hmm. Good. Okay, bring your arms down, elbows facing, or palms facing down, elbows out. See if you can pull with your upper abs to bring the knees straight into your sternum, not to your nose. Letting the back round. Spread the toes. Bring it back forward. Don't let the ribs pop up. When the foot touches down, then you can release your ribs. Good. And switch. Feel the upper abs?
Yeah, big time.
Huh?
Big time.
Good. Left foot arch covers the right knee. Your feet are on your center line, right on your spine. Makes it harder to balance. Okay? Feel your right toes spread across the mat and grab the mat. If you tighten up your hips and they don't have this soft ability to move, you're actually going to fall off the ball. You want to feel like a wet washcloth draped over the ball. Not a hard pole, metal pole that's going to roll right off the ball. Let that release. Okay? And then feel your upper abs pull down into the mat a little and your arms reach up. The balance is in the upper abs and ribs. Let the hips be loose to make micro adjustments. See if you can drop arms back without letting ribs pop up. If your ribs pop up, you'll lose your balance. Breathe. Slowly bring the arms back up. And elbows out to the sides like a football tee. Elbows touch the mat, hands come down. That should help roll your shoulders forward. Keep pulling your ribs down. See if you can bring the knees into you. Pulling ribs down. Good. Press that top foot into the bottom. Spread the toes. Keep upper abs down. Knee into sternum, not nose. Soften hips. Slowly bring it back down. All the way to the mat. Good. Now see if you can bring your knees in, out to the sides. Good. And then reach your legs out into a split. Good. Bring your arms straight up. Pulling down into the mat with your ribs. Your balance is in the upper abs. Flex the feet or point, spreading toes and reaching the ball of the foot. Keeping the ribs down. Slowly roll hips forward. Keep hips loose. Find your stretch. Keep ribs down though. If your ribs pop up, you'll go into your low back. Okay? And then to roll it back up, ribs sink and your hips roll into you. If you get gym abs here, you're not going to be able to roll back up because your muscle will make a little wall that you won't be able to pass. So it should feel like there's a scooping out. Okay, roll forward. Find your groin stretch. Keep your ribs pulled down, but let your hips drape a little further over the ball. Good. And then roll back into you. Good. See if you can bring your hands to happy baby, hands on the outer foot. Turn the feet out. Open the knees. Bring your right ankle in, right foot to the heel. Drop the knee forward, open the left. Slowly slide your right foot out to the right as you reach it long, just a little bit. So you've got one straight line from groin to groin, bring your right arm back. Keeping the
ribs drop, let the hip roll over the ball more. Should feel a pretty big opening in front of that hip. Slowly bend the knee out to the side to bring it in. Heel returns to the sitting bone. Arm comes to the foot. Good, how you doing there?
Good. Balancing.
Good? Okay, bring your left heel to the sitting bone. Hold, open your right heel away from you. Slowly let go of that left leg. Ribs stay in the body. Keep your arm to the ceiling at first. Keep the ribs dropped in. Left leg goes a little left to find your balance. You can roll the ball left with your rib cage or with your hips. Reaching the arm back, keep ribs a little drop. Keeping the ribs pulled in, let the hip release away. Feel that stretch in the left foot of the hip?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, bend the knee out to the side to bring it back in. Good. Stretch both legs out into your split again. See if you can still reach both outer feet. And then let them go. Arms overhead, ribs still pulling in. Roll the hips forward. This feeling of rolling is the way you roll up into an inversion. Roll ribs back into you. Soften hips into the ball. Roll into yourself like you're rolling up a yoga mat. Good. Feel that?
That's a really good way of explaining that feeling you're supposed to have with
In the inversion, yeah, you're pulling up part. Ribs pull into the mat, hips roll away. Keep ribs, but try to release hips a little bit. Feel some length, long through your core. Feel that?
Yeah.
Roll into yourself. Low back's released into the ball. Low belly sucking down into the space in the back of the hips. Good. Bring the legs all the way together by the face. Bring hands up to hold your outer arches of your feet. Pull your knee down into your chest, both of them. And then try to straighten the right leg, keeping the knee into the chest. Bring it back to bend. Try to straighten your left leg a little bit. Probably won't straighten, depends on your hamstring stretch. Bring it back in. Feel in the back of the hips too. Good. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Arms up to the ceiling. Try to bring the knees up, keeping your balance, ribs dropping in, and bring the feet one at a time to the mat. This is how we go. Good. Okay. Hands like you're going to do a back bend. Take your hands, palms facing the ceiling. Try to drop your fingers to the mat, and then the palm to the mat. Push yourself forward on the ball. Walk your feet forward. Walk your hands closer. Push yourself forward. Good place to find your upper back bend. You could press into the hands, and then try to find a little bit of a back bend.
Kick standing head to the floor and roll back.
But you don't need to. You can press into hands to press the body away. We're just going to come out of it. See if you can press into hands enough to get hips forward so you don't have any crunch in your low back, but you have an upper back bend. Good. Feel that space in the hips and low back?
I want to touch my butt down.
Yes, you definitely want to
Have
have
my head back. Okay.
If your head doesn't touch at the same time, then you want to err on the side of touching your butt down.
Okay, I got it.
Good. Feel the upper back bend?
Yeah.
Breathe. Okay, hop the hips forward again until the ball's closer to your head. And you can rest there, bring your hands to your head. Pull your head up with the serratus. Let the ribs drop into the mat. Release the back of the hips. Come a lot more forward with your hips. There we go. That's it. Good. Feel the upper abs drop. Good. Breathe. Alright, very nice. Take your ball a little further back. I'm not going to roll any further forward because I'll be out of the picture. And back up. Actually put the ball just under the head. And I like to have legs over the ball, start to end, so let's grab that. Put that under your calves. With ball just under the head and neck, arms up, drop the shoulder blades into the mat, and then slowly drop the arms down. Good. Think of letting the elbows be a little wide. Don't roll out so palms face the ceiling. Keep the thumbs facing the floor. Slowly drag it up from the serratus. One more time. Think of turning your thumbs out a little bit, like you're hitchhiking. And feel how that opens the front of the shoulder, biceps roll a little out. Then soften your shoulder blades into the ground. Elbows are pretty wide. Then keep the shoulder blades heavy in the mat as the arms go back. Good. Feel the difference? Breathe.
deep breath in. Hold the air in without panicking. Roll the eyes into the back of the head and the middle of the forehead where the third eye lives. Keep that gaze. Feel what that does to the muscles in the face. Don't breathe yet. Puff your cheeks out like a pufferfish. Clench your jaw. All the muscles in the face head should be engaged right now. Start the exhale by just letting the air leak out. Release your jaw. Release your cheeks. Release the gaze with the eyes. You should be coming to the end of that breath. One more like that. Soften the collarbone, chest. Stay here, breathe easy. If you feel like you need anything else, go ahead and take it now. Otherwise, enjoy your course. Deepening the breath again. Open the fingers, start the toes. Really spreading hands and feet, but don't activate anything else. Ankles are activated too. On your next inhale, bring the arms up. Reach back. Keep your hips soft. Shoulder blades into the mat. Sink the lower belly. Inhale. Stretch. And then exhale, close fists, point toes, roll ankles in, pull your feet up to you, ankles up to you, and then roll back up. Let everything go. To come up, you can either tent the knees, stack hips, knees, ribs, and shoulders all to one side, laying on your bicep. Top hand comes to the back, push you up. Or, if you want to reintegrate the body, and bring the arms up. Spread shoulder blades off the back, chin to the chest, and roll through your core, pulling down. However you get there, once you're forward, sitting bones apart, lay over the leg. Left head turn to one side, turn to the other side, one more breath. Do one O, find a comfortable seat. Okay. Make sure your spine is easily upright. You're going to take a long, even, deep inhalation, real soft breath. Hold it at the top. Start with an ah sound, releasing facial muscles. Go to the ooh. Have enough breath for the lips pursed, vibrating through the cords. You empty the lungs. When you're totally empty, ribs closed, try to mock inhale by lifting pelvic floor, flaring ribs back open again. If you can't remember that, get used to it. Same spiel always. Here we go. Inhale. Hands together in the middle of the forehead where the third eye lives. Soften lumbar spine back, drop your head in. Seal your practice, release your spine relaxation. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
How you feeling?
Good.
Good job.
That was fun. Lots of new things.
Yeah, how'd you do? All the strength work?
It was hard.
Yeah. But you got it.
But yeah.
How are your inversions coming?